We decided to create a strategy to overcome this issue and established 3 rules. First, the anterior teeth are needed to match facial data with intraoral scan data.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Kenyang, the host of Please Solve Me.
Hello everyone, this is Chenyani and I am the host.
Time flies, this is already our 10th episode of Please Solve Me. Thank you all for your continued support. Let's see what we will be discussing this month. The topics we'll be discussing this month include scanning strategies, metal scanning, cable management, and utilize Medit apps. We originally had planned a special session dedicated to Medit apps, but we've decided to do this at a later date. We will keep pumping out content to better image everyone on the concept of digital dentistry.
In complex mutliple implant cases, scanning takes too long. How can I overcome this?
This is the first question. This question stemmed from a user comment from the end of July that sparked extensive discussion. The user was expressing his frustration with the i700 scanner, and although he didn't ask a question, I think it would be worthwhile to go over the problem he faced and then look at how to overcome this. I understand his struggles and how difficult a case like this can be. Many of you may also be faced with this situation during the transition from analog to digital. Let's take some time to learn how to walk through cases like this. Chen, you said they had a similar case, right? It looks a lot like the video we uploaded on Facebook that received more than 2,000 views.
Yes, that's right. It was a case involving an A-unit implant received in the mandibular anterior area, very similar to this one.
When you look at her video, she scanned really smoothly and fast. How long did it take you to complete the full process?
As far as I can remember, it took less than 50 minutes. The video was shot to test the i900 for the first time, and the scanning process wasn't difficult at all.
Oh, the scanning was always good. Chen would be gold. Whenever I watch her work, it seems like she never gets stressed, no matter how complex the case is. It's like watching Kung Fu Panda or Chim in a piece. Do you have a secret, Chen?
Are you not telling me that I am as lazy as a panda? Are you? The key is to design a scanning strategy and stick to it. It's easy if you have a plan.
Okay, so we've heard Chen bring it so far. Now let's look at other users' opinion. Andrew gave 2 tips on scanning complex cases. Have sufficient retraction and adjust the filtering mode. Another user recommended using a scan assist tool. We haven't personally tried this, but having such tools would surely make scanning much easier. Dr. Kim suspects that the scan pathway was the issue. And Pedro is a user scanning with the i600. Through practice, he is now able to scan much more easily and quickly. All of the users provide good insight towards solving this problem. So today, we came up with guidelines for smooth and easy scanning of complex cases. This will include 5 tips, some of which will overlap with what our users have suggested. Now let's watch the solution video that we have put together.
The skill required for scanning a simple implant case is not very hard, however. There are also complex cases when it can be really tough to scan. For example, it would only take 5 to 10 minutes to scan a quadrant of a single molar using a peak material scan body. However, if the edentulous gap between 2 implants is big, as in the case Dr. Agrawal posted, it can be quite challenging to smoothly complete the scan. Even when you could complete the scan, data distortion can occur in case you delete and rerun scans several times. To utilize Medit scanners with confidence, even for complex cases, we need not only technical skills, but also a strategic approach. So, our Please Solve Me team has summarized 5 tips for how to scan complex cases more easily. Let's start with our first tip. The first tip is to set an appropriate focal length and, if necessary, request an assistant for retraction. In the video, it is evident that the lingual surfaces of the posterior teeth on both sides were not sufficiently scanned, which is often related to setting the focal distance too long. When scanning the lingual surfaces, you must adjust the focal distance to be shorter because of the presence of the tongue. He probably had a tough time scanning this challenging case while trying to retract the patient's tongue with a mirror by himself. The Optrogate he used as a scanning aid helps with retracting the buccal vestibule, but it doesn't do anything to control the movement of the tongue. Especially with patients who have larger tongues, it's almost impossible to retract the tongue with a mirror and simultaneously perform proper rolling motions. It feels like wrestling a giant snake. In these situations, it's best to start the scan with an assistant from the very beginning and use the blue mirror retraction technique we introduced earlier. If another assistant retracts the tongue using this method, the operator will have enough space to move the scanner freely, allowing for scanning from various angles with both hands. Even if the mirror gets scanned, the color filtering function will automatically remove the blue color, making the scan process smooth and fast. The second tip is to calmly spend 10 minutes first to obtain a flawless pre-scan. The reason why we want to emphasize this is because the mistake that people often make is jumping straight to scanning the target area. When faced with a complex case, we tend to become anxious and rush the scanning process, but this natural tendency actually ends up making the entire scan take longer. Therefore, at our clinic, there is a rule to first scan the entire dentition before scanning the target area, no matter how complex the case may be. Doing this will provide the scanner enough information about the overall oral landscape and better prep the scanner to be deployed in the mission. I cannot emphasize enough how important good quality pre-scan is. Of course, you don't have to spend too much time on pre-scanning. We would like to recommend you take just 10 minutes to take a full arch pre-scan. If you make this a habit, it would shorten your time and you'll get better results. Just as organizing our surroundings before we get to work improves time efficiency, the third tip is about effectively scanning a long-span, partially edentulous area. In the scan data provided by the questioner, it seems that the partially edentulous area included both keratinized and movable mucosa, indicating that the soft tissue trimming process was insufficient before the implant scan. Our goal here is to exclude the movable mucosa and obtain data of the partially edentulous area composed entirely of a band of keratinized mucosa. Including the movable mucosa can confuse the scanner due to the changing topography during the scan, making data trimming essential. Therefore, it's important to develop a habit of precisely trimming the data of the partially edentulous area before starting the implant scan process. This area typically has a U-shaped curve, so it should be free of any distortions, and the scan data should capture a form that resembles a solid suspension bridge made of keratinized mucosa. So, how can we accurately and quickly scan the mucosal shape of a partially edentulous area? First, as suggested by other users, set the scanner to the mode on the far left of the scan filtering options to inform it in advance that no teeth are present in this area. If the edentulous span is long, the scanner is like a ship navigating between continents. Therefore, identifiable landmarks or lighthouses are necessary on the pink sea of the mucosa. It's advisable to make it a habit to pre-place resin markers in a zigzag pattern if there's a long span edentulous area. This approach will allow you to capture the shape of the partially edentulous area without any interruptions or distortions. The fourth tip is to pre-register the scan body and utilize the matching function. Before starting the implant scan, it's essential to develop the habit of properly trimming the pre-scan data to create a scan-ready state in the shape of a pond. If you've done everything correctly up to this point, you're already 80% through the scanning process. Once again, it's crucial to complete the full arch pre-scan smoothly and early so that we can dedicate enough time to focus on the final target, the implant. At this stage, as emphasized in last month's session, it's important to pre-register the scan body and align it using either automatic alignment or manual alignment. If you align it directly in the Medit scan software, you only need to capture about 50% of the decut portion without needing to record the entire scan body's shape. Additionally, this approach allows the operator to verify the accuracy of the scan data during the alignment process. At this stage, it's crucial to position the scan body in a way that the D-cut is close to the adjacent teeth, making it easier to scan. For more on this, refer to the strategic positioning discussed in question 4 from the July session. The fifth tip is to utilize the lock function, one of the strengths of Medit software, to preserve the areas that the scanner has already captured well while completing the scan. It's like putting together a puzzle. If we need to record 8 units, we proceed in the following order. We start by scanning and aligning the scan bodies located on the outside one by one. Once successfully captured, we immediately use the lock function to preserve the data. We continue scanning from the outside in, surrounding the area as we go. Within the well-established framework, it's like a sniper, carefully targeting and capturing each piece of data perfectly. So, if you need to scan 4 scan bodies or abutments, don't try to scan all 4 targets at once. Instead, approach it with the mindset of filling one target at a time. Perform the steps of scan alignment lock for each one individually. This way, you won't find yourself needing to redo completed work. By taking down each target one by one, you can obtain clean scan data, no matter how complex the case may be. We have compiled 5 important scanning techniques on a single page. These are like maxims about scanning that everyone has probably heard at least once. Just like a well-trained soccer player, it is crucial for us to maintain a commitment to these basic principles. After all, no matter how complex and challenging the case may be, the final result is always the outcome of the scanning motions we repeatedly perform. We were particularly impressed by another user's excellent response. We are colleagues gathered here to achieve better results in the new digital field of dentistry. We have also learned a lot from the brilliant ideas and advice of various users in this community. We hope that this Facebook community continues to be a wonderful place where we can grow together, support each other, and overcome difficult situations together. This concludes the answer to question number 1.
How can we improve the scan quality of full metal crown scanning?
The second question concerns scan technique when metal is involved. In the post, the individual showcases the scan result from multiple angles. At first glance, the scan quality appears quite decent. However, upon closer inspection, the quality at the contact points are less than desirable. If you ever needed to scan a critical area or proximal contact, you might have encountered the challenge of unsatisfactory scan, particularly with older metal crown with a rough surface. So today, we'll discuss how to easily overcome this metal scanning issue. Chen, do you remember this scan patient?
Yeah, of course. I remember back when I was scanning UV. You show off your skills with this case and made me feel like so lucky. But now the stunt has become the master and I'm much better than you at scanning. I dare you better me now.
No, I'll say as a champion. I'll never battle her because I know she'd win. This is case I did back in 2019 with the i500 without any scanning powder. I remember scolding her for using so much of an expensive scanning spray. It was a waste of money to use that much. I told her to reduce the focal distance and carefully roll the scanner using both hands. But honestly, I don't think I could repeat my winning performance because I've already retired from scanning. So Chen, now that you are the master, how do you handle metal scanning these days?
In my case, I already use powder, but I apply it very lightly and carefully, kind of like putting on makeup. So it's barely noticeable. And ever since we got the I-900 last month, metal scanning has become so much easier.
Oh, watching this scan video, it's clear that metal scanning has become a lot easier with the new i900. Of course, part of that is due to Chen having good skills, thanks to a great mentor. This month, to find an answer to this question, we didn't just rely on our own method, we also looked at similar questions and gathered comments from other users. Based on that, we will create a solution video on how to effectively scan metal using Medit scanners. We are confident that you will find this video useful. Let's have a watch.
Have you ever recorded your scanning process and reviewed it later? When analyzing the reasons for delays during a scan, it often turns out that the delays occur because we try to achieve perfect quality in difficult to scan areas. If that area isn't crucial, you can simply capture the general shape and move on. But what if you need to perfectly capture the contact surface of a metal crown adjacent to an abutment? In that case, we must finish scanning other areas quickly and then focus our efforts on perfecting the scan of that challenging part, even though it's a difficult task. Therefore, today, the Please Solve Me team will explore ways to enhance metal scanning, covering everything from the theoretical aspects to techniques and auxiliary methods. As we know, the difficulty with metal scanning arises because the light diffusion on metal surfaces differs from that on teeth, making it challenging for the scanner to capture and interpret the data accurately. Therefore, improving metal scanning can be considered in three main ways. The first method involves software-based solutions where the metal areas are distinguished by color, and the software automatically adjusts its surface recognition patterns. Medit has already integrated such features into its scanning software as a standard offering. The second method involves applying a scan spray containing titanium dioxide before intraoral scanning to create a more homogeneous anti-reflective surface. When applied properly, this can significantly enhance scan performance, but it has drawbacks such as the difficulty in achieving an even application and the potential discomfort for the patient. Lastly, there is a scanning technique that involves more controlled scanner movements, similar to how the moon orbits the Earth, slowly capturing scan data. In other words, you take it slow around the metal areas. You'll immediately notice better scan results if you dry the surface well, reduce the focal distance, and move slowly using both hands. The question of why metal scanning is difficult has been posted many times before, and most of the advice from other users falls into the three categories I just mentioned. Looking at the scan data posted in a question from last month, it appears that their scanning technique is quite good. However, it seems they either didn't use a scan spray or applied too little of it, which is why they couldn't achieve the high-quality surface they wanted. According to user feedback, a powder-type spray product called Optus Spray was recommended, and another user suggested using toothpaste. Let's take a closer look at how to effectively use each of these auxiliary methods. First, let's discuss what we need to know about using powder-type sprays. As we've seen in the case studies from our clinic, incorrect application of the spray can actually lead to inaccurate data. Additionally, although titanium dioxide is generally considered safe, there are concerns that repeated exposure could be harmful to the health of dental professionals. Therefore, it is recommended to apply only the necessary amount safely. According to related studies, the recommended spray thickness is typically between 7 to 20 microns, applied as a thin coating. However, controlling the pressure when pressing the spray button is not as easy as it sounds. Even a slightly stronger press can result in too much spray being released. Therefore, it's advisable to isolate the site within the patient's mouth by drying it with a gauze shield, and then apply the spray from a distance of at least 10 centimeters. Start with a light press, gradually increasing the pressure until the spray is released, and stop immediately once it starts. The goal is not to overspray like using hairspray or to completely cover the surface like snow foam washing a car. Remember, the purpose of using the spray is simply to reduce reflection. As I mentioned earlier, even with careful spraying, our experience has shown that it's never easy to achieve the desired uniform surface coating. Given the nature of the spray's direction, if you consider the crown as having a spherical shape, it's difficult to apply the spray evenly on the surface, leading to a significant amount being wasted on unwanted areas. Addressing this issue, some studies have tested the use of liquid-type scanning aids and reported their advantages. The ingredients, similar to powder types, include titanium dioxide, with ethanol used as a solvent. The study highlighted that one of the benefits of the liquid type is that it can be applied thinly without waste. Upon further research, we found that it was being sold in Korea for around $50, and our team decided to purchase it immediately to test its effectiveness in our clinical practice. As you can see now, the preparation process for the liquid-type agent is similar to that of a resin bonding agent. It can be applied by lightly brushing it onto the surface of the crown once or twice, much like applying nail polish. When we performed a scan using the i700 wireless model afterward, we found that the scan worked just as well as with the powder type, with no significant difference. Although the exact cost per use has not been accurately measured yet, it is expected to be cost-effective due to the minimal amount wasted. Since this material is being used for the first time, it was applied a bit thicker than what was suggested in the literature, but applying it thinner may allow for more precise capture of the metal texture. While the performance of the scan liquid was relatively satisfactory, our team decided to explore the use of toothpaste, as recommended by another user, to find a more cost-effective solution. If this method proves viable, it could be more economical than any other. In fact, we tried this method as an emergency measure when we first introduced the Medit E500 to our clinic 5 years ago. At that time, we heard a tip that Sensodyne toothpaste could be used if the scan spray suddenly ran out, so we tried using the sample product we had on hand. However, even within the Sensodyne product line, while some products were somewhat helpful, others were not helpful at all. So, at that time, we concluded that using toothpaste as a scanning aid was an unreliable method. However, we later discovered that the inconsistency was due to the fact that some Sensodyne products contain titanium dioxide, which aids in scanning, while others do not. Therefore, when using toothpaste for metal scanning, it is essential to check the ingredients list to ensure that it contains titanium dioxide. However, the exact concentration is usually not specified, so if you're curious, you might find some information on comparison websites. To give you a general idea, titanium dioxide typically makes toothpaste appear opaque, which can be a clue. For instance, transparent gel-type toothpaste is often less effective for scanning. The same applies to the commonly recommended Sensodyne. Titanium dioxide is frequently included in sensitivity toothpastes because it helps reduce hypersensitivity, and the more opaque versions are likely to offer better scanning enhancement. By chance, Dr. Jiang discovered that Darlie toothpaste, which he had brought back as a souvenir from a trip to China, was opaque and contained titanium dioxide. He then asked Chen to apply the toothpaste to his own gold crown and try scanning it with the i900. The results were a great success. The metal scanning performance of the i900 improved, confirming that toothpaste alone could facilitate effective scanning. Based on these research findings, our clinic attempted metal scanning on various cases using Darlie toothpaste. We lightly applied the toothpaste to a gauze, then gently rubbed it onto the crown surface with a finger. While it didn't perform as well as a spray, we found that it did help improve scan recognition. Therefore, our clinic plans to use this toothpaste as a scanning aid for less critical or relatively simple metal scans moving forward. You might find that using toothpaste instead of spray routinely not only reduces costs, but is also more readily accepted by patients. If you test any opaque toothpaste available around you, you will quickly see whether it works effectively for this purpose. We have now conducted an in-depth analysis of various auxiliary tools for metal scanning. However, more important than all these tools, and something that cannot be overstated, is the meticulous scanning technique itself. As demonstrated in the case Dr. Zhang proudly shared earlier, if the scanning motion is precise, even without powder, the i500 model could produce high-quality scan data by turning on the metal scan function. With the improved models and software available now, this process has become even easier. Practicing scanning motions with a short focal distance to achieve a uniform surface on a dentiform will reveal how slowly we need to move. The comfort and ease that this practice will bring to your digital dental life needs no further explanation. I hope that the methods introduced today make your metal scanning process more comfortable. This concludes the answer to question 2.
How do I resolve it when the message "connection failed" appears?
This is the third question. This user provides a troubleshooting message and asks if anyone could help. This question is about what to do when you see this connection failed message. This is a message that has popped up for me as well in the past. I know what the issue is, and I was able to solve it on my own, but I'm not sure that was the correct way to go about it. So today, we will conduct more in-depth research on cables and aim to present a simple guideline for the solution. Let's look at how other users replied to this question. One user identified this as a cable problem and suggested buying a new one. Another user recommended plugging the cable directly into the computer and making sure it doesn't bend. She even had a makeshift cable guard to keep it straight. If you look at the original error message, you can see that the cables are connected to some kind of adapter, so she may attribute the adapter to be the issue. Another user suspects it could be a problem with the scanner itself. Who is right here? Or is it another issue altogether? Chen, what are your thoughts on this? You have faced and solved this problem many times for me.
I think this cable is not an adapt issue. Whenever this comes up for me, I just replace the cable with a new one, and it's always worse.
Oh, so you are always buying spare cables. I noticed that you bought two cables this week too, even though we haven't faced this issue in a long time.
That's right, because it's not my money, and I don't want to spend any additional time trying to find other ways to solve it.
But it's my money. I guess I need a more economical way to prevent this from happening by myself. Let's watch a video together.
Before tackling the issue of cable connection errors, let's summarize key points about cables. We addressed this question in a Please Solve Me session last year. The summary of that discussion is as follows. Number 1. Thunderbolt cables 3.0 and above can be used as replacements. These can serve as good alternatives to the standard cable provided by Medit. Number 2. Using longer cables can be beneficial. Longer cables can reduce coiling and bending stress on the cables, which helps prevent wearing issues. Number 3. It is recommended to use a gender adapter to connect to a USB-C port. Using a gender adapter to connect to the USB-C port helps reduce damage to expensive computer ports. These 3 tips are still useful today. Our solution to this cable disconnection issue will be based on these concepts. The photo we are looking at shows the laptop in our clinic used for scanning when a disconnection error occurred. At the neck of the cable's sheath is almost completely worn off, indicating an urgent need for replacement. From this photo, we can see how much coiling and bending stress the cable connected to the scanner undergoes during the scanning process. It is likely that repeated coiling and uncoiling of the cable have caused such damage to the entire cable both inside and out. Any smartphone user can identify with this issue when the charging cable frays after repeated use. It's inevitable that cables for scanning will lose integrity over time. So we need to consider how to minimize this wear and tear issue by taking preventative measures. I want to show you how I modified my scanning environment. I bought a USB-C gender adapter and set it up to protect the computer ports by attaching it to the laptop table. By doing this, it reduces the stress directly applied to the computer ports and also has the added benefit of extending the cable length. I have noticed that there has been less coiling when I scan with this setup. This might seem like a small change, but such small changes can make big differences in the longevity of cables. Therefore, to reduce cable issues, we recommend that you optimize the environment where the scanner is installed. To illustrate in a diagram, the cable disconnection issue can occur in these 3 areas. The most frequent issue arises where the cable connects to the computer. Using a C-type gender adapter at this point can start the cable in a position with minimal coiling. The second area is within the cable itself. Using a cable that is much longer than you actually need can better distribute internal stress. For example, the cable length I use is 2 times longer than the distance between the connection point and the patient. The third area is where the cable connects directly to the scanner. If a problem occurs here, it might necessitate repairing the scanner, so we need to be cautious. To reinforce this connection, some users have posted about wrapping Teflon tape around the cable, while others have used their own 3D printed reinforcement items. Any method that secures the cable more firmly to the scanner can help reduce disconnection issues. Have you ever examined your scanner environment? It might be worth checking each of these three parts to reduce cable connection issues. Although cables are consumables and connection errors are inevitable, we can create a more stable scanning environment through various preventive measures. We anticipate that this approach will significantly reduce the occurrence of this disconnection error. This concludes the response to question number 3.
How can we obtain accurate facial scan data using an intraoral scanner?
The last question for today is related to the Medit app. This question was posted in 2022 and I picked it because we had the exact same concern. It seems that the user wanted to use the facial information to make a prosthesis for the maxillary anterior teeth. However, purchasing an expensive facial scanner may not have been feasible here. So, he improvised by scanning on the necessary part of patient face using an intraoral scanner. But perhaps, due to the patient moving during the scan, the lip line wasn't captured correctly and the data overlapped, resulting in an unclear picture. I think his concept was great, and I actually had the exact same idea. We tried this ourselves, but learned that the execution is very difficult. Chen, we've done this kind of scan before, right?
Yes, but this time let me ask you, Dr. Zhang. Have you ever done this scan yourself?
No, I haven't done it myself. I've only instructed others like you to do it.
That's exactly what I want to talk about. Why did you ask me to do it when you have never tried it yourself?
I assigned this to you because I figured with your scan skill, getting a T-shape from the patient face would be easy.
But when I received the request and tried to perform the scan, it was very difficult. Even though I confident in intraoral scanning, I just couldn't get the facial scan to work. You wanted me to do it, something that not even you can do.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll never do that again. I believe that a facial scanner is less practical compared to intraoral scanner because it's not needed for every patient. So, if I were to invest additional money, I would choose to purchase another intraoral scanner instead. And is it really necessary to buy a facial scanner to utilize facial information for prostate treatment? We searched for an expert who is effectively using the SmartGen app without a facial scanner. We came across a really interesting photo where someone creatively drew in the patient face. It was great ingenuity, but unfortunately, it turned out to be a failure in the end. There are probably many other users who would write tips on this process. So today, we review great journals and discuss cost-effective ways to use smart design apps. Let's watch the solution video.
Have you ever tried scanning a face with the intraoral scanner? Although it's a much tougher task compared to using a facial scanner that captures the face from multiple angles at once, it could still be a useful feature if we could obtain even just the minimal necessary information. In this case, Dr. Taha intended to use facial information for digital smile design. However, when you look at the upper right lip area, you can see that the images of the teeth and the lip are overlapping. This likely occurred during the process of retracting the upper lip. Is it really possible to obtain high-quality facial scan data using an intraoral scanner? Let's take a look at the responses from other users. Another user provided a very detailed answer, suggesting the use of an additional facial scanner along with the intraoral scanner. For cases like smile design or dentures, where sufficient facial information is required, you can obtain minimal facial scan data with the intraoral scanner and then match it with full scan data from a facial scanner. Additionally, the user recommended using the nose tip as a reference point to align the data from the intraoral scanner with the facial scan data. He also offered a useful tip, suggesting that there's no need to struggle with scanning the lip area using the intraoral scanner. The Medit support team also responded, agreeing that it's best to obtain full scan data using a facial scanner and then match it with the intraoral scan data. In summary, the extent of the facial area that needs to be captured with an intraoral scanner will vary depending on the intended use of the facial scan data. Let's return to Dr. Taha's question. His first question was about the extent to which the facial scan data he obtained could be useful. We assume he intended to use this facial scan data for the Medit app, specifically for smile design. Long story short, this is not possible. The Smile Design app is a two-dimensional image-based program. To use the program, you need a facial photo and intraoral scan data. However, the facial scan data he obtained is three-dimensional, so it cannot be applied to the Smile Design app. Even if he were to use a different program for smile design, the facial scan data currently obtained has limitations because the lip shape is not captured in a smile state. Therefore, whether it's a two-dimensional photo or three-dimensional scan data, additional facial information of the patient in a smiling state would be required to properly utilize it for digital smile design. Then, how can partial facial scan data be utilized? Even though the data obtained from an intraoral scanner may not provide complete information about the overall facial profile, it can still be used for tasks such as the design of teeth and the setting of the occlusal plane. This example case was kindly provided by Dr. Zhang's colleague. Even with minimal necessary information from an intraoral scanner, it can be extremely helpful in determining the midline, tooth length, and tooth axis when arranging anterior teeth for prosthetics. Therefore, for this purpose, it would be sufficient to scan only the necessary areas in a T shape, recording the lip contour in the rest state, the nose tip for midline alignment, and the glabella and forehead area. If you wish to use this partial scan data for more precise purposes, as explained earlier, the T-shaped partial scan data can be matched with additional full facial data and used together with a virtual articulator or digital facebow. The second question is, what field extension should I record to obtain the optimum benefit? This question pertains to the T-shaped facial scan shown in the case. It appears the question is about which areas, from the lips to a certain extent of the face, should be recorded using the intraoral scanner. In 2022, several Medit users in a Facebook community organized a contest to see who could achieve the best facial scan, and they uploaded their scan data to showcase their results. Some users focused on accurately and precisely recording just the lip and nose areas, while others scanned almost the entire face. Given these variations in scan coverage, which areas should be scanned to achieve the optimum benefit? The answer to this question, as we mentioned earlier, varies depending on the purpose. If we just want minimal facial information to reference for tooth alignment, scanning the lip and nose would be sufficient. If we want to merge the data with 3D facial scan data, it would be beneficial to include the lip, nose, and some of the forehead and glabella. If we do not plan to obtain additional 3D facial scan data, but want to utilize more facial information, scanning as wide an area as possible would be ideal. However, we don't recommend this approach because it is time-consuming, prone to distortion, and therefore not accurate. We will introduce a more economical method for this at the end. His final question is, what is the strategy to prevent the patient from moving while scanning the movable lips? To find the answer, we planned a little experiment ourselves. Chen scanned Dr. Zhang's face. Our goal was type 2, which was to obtain partial facial scan data to merge with additional 3D facial scan data. Therefore, Chen's plan was to scan Dr. Zhang's lips in the rest state, nose, to the midline, and forehead within 2 minutes. After consulting with the Medit support team about the method, we received a facial scanning guideline that was as detailed as a spy infiltration mission directive. Following these instructions, Chen began the mission to scan Dr. Zhang's face. Chen confidently claimed she would get it done in one go, but ultimately, she failed twice in a row. In the first scan, the lips and teeth overlapped. Even though Dr. Zhang remained perfectly still, Chen had to retract the lip to scan the anterior teeth, which caused deformation. In the second attempt, the nose and lower lip line were not perpendicular, resulting in deformation. The reason might be that the area to be scanned was too wide, and it took too long, causing Dr. Zhang to move. During this process, deformation likely occurred at the junction between the upper and lower lips. So, should she have used a tool to keep Dr. Zhang's head from moving? There is a papoose board to fix the head position, but that's not suitable for this situation. So, what method should be used? We decided to create a strategy to overcome this issue and established 3 rules. First, the anterior teeth are needed to match facial data with intraoral scan data, but attempting to scan both the teeth and lips simultaneously causes overlap. Therefore, initially, we avoid scanning the teeth and focus solely on recording the shape around the lips, capturing both the upper and lower lips in a rest state. The next rule is the scanning sequence. Start by scanning the lip lines and then move around the perioral area. Once this is done, proceed upwards to scan the nose, followed by the glabella and brow line. An interesting tip we discovered was that Dr. Zhang was uncomfortable with the blue light entering his eyes, so he wanted them covered. He used Teflon tape to cover his eyes, which resulted in more clearly defined colors, making the scan much faster and more effective. By following this sequence, we were able to obtain the required facial scan data quickly, in just under 2 minutes. The third rule is to use the lock function to avoid lip contour deformation. After completing the facial scan, we proceed with the teeth scan that was previously skipped. However, it's impossible to scan the upper lip, lower lip, and teeth simultaneously without deformation because retracting the lip will cause distortion. This might be the reason for Dr. Taha's concern about the lip overlapping with intraoral scan data. To address this, we decided to use the lock function, which we frequently rely on. After locking the upper lip in place, Chen was able to retract the upper lip and scan the anterior teeth. This way, she could preserve the accurate scan data of the lip contour while scanning the anterior teeth. This method makes it possible to record both the lip shape in a rest state and the teeth without deformation, something that was previously thought to be impossible. We are confident that by applying the 3 tips we introduced today, facial scanning will become much easier. We have explored various aspects of facial scanning, including its purpose, usage, and techniques. Now, to better utilize the facial scan data obtained through an intraoral scanner, I'd like to introduce a cost-effective method for acquiring full 3-dimensional facial data without the need for a dedicated facial scanner. Recent studies have documented numerous cases where various smartphone apps were used to align intraoral scan data with facial data, eliminating the need for a facial scanner. These applications typically cost around $20 per month, making them a much more economical option compared to the expensive price of a facial scanner. Therefore, if you're confident in facial scanning and wish to integrate facial data into various treatments, I recommend trying an iPhone app first to see if it enhances your prosthetic treatment before investing in a facial scanner. By utilizing the Medit face scan feature, I hope you can take your prosthetic treatments to the next level. This concludes the response to question 4.
This has been the August session of Please Solve Me. Thank you once again for joining us. See you next month. Thank you.
Thank you.